We are here with long WMTY and WDEH radio DJ known as Fargo. Real name is Hugh Robinson. Fargo, you're celebrating 50 years on the air here at the radio station. Does it seem like it's been 50 years?
No, it seems like yesterday.
Reminisce a little bit about these past 50 years and just
well,
what it's been like.
Some of the hilarious times was a live Friday night football. I can't go into real detail on it, but there was some hilarious times on Friday night football with the late Lynn Shirley and Buster West, and they done a great job. But there was some hilarious nights with them that I'll never forget.
Maybe some things getting on the air that probably shouldn't.
Yeah, they got on there.
Tell us about your first day. That was June 12th, 1968.
Well, I had hung around the station 66 and 67, just collecting music. My dream was to be a singer. It wasn't to be in radio. So I was coming by collecting music and talking to Doyle, and it just so happened that he wanted to train me to do the board. When I trained to do the board, position come open on FM at night time, and I started working it part-time. And I worked part-time from 68 to 73, and I went full-time in 73.
And you referenced Doyle, meaning Doyle Lowe.
Doyle
worked
Lowe.
here. How did things change over the years? As far as the station, management and different things and formats, and then radio itself?
Well, we started out with 4-track carts, tapes. Before that, there was quarter-inch tapes that you had to put on reel-to-reel on commercials, and then they come to the carts, which was a blessing. And then the carts sometimes would jump queue, and I saw it go from 45s, 33s to CDs and digital. There's been some big changes since '68.
You talk about carts and reel-to-reels, and now today you're still at it, and everything is computerized. What do you think radio is missing today that it had back then?
It had the warmth of the something on the tape that you can't capture digital. There's a warmth on tape that you could capture if it was recorded right. And digital is a little bit brighter than tape, and you lose some of the warmth.
And today, tell me if I'm wrong, due to technology, back then radio was it. It was the hub of the community, and everybody was dialed into the radio. Now everything has got people scattered and distracted. That's changed quite a bit, hasn't it?
Quite a bit. Used to, radio was all you had to rely on, except 3 TV stations before cable. And most people late of the evening would listen to radio rather than watch the 3 channels after the news went off. So their only choice was FM then, back in '68. They'd listen to FM music, or they'd watch one of the 3 channels till 11:30 or 12, and then they signed off the air, and there was no TV after midnight back then.
You mentioned that you got into radio because you wanted to be a musician. What were your inspirations in the music world that got you wanting to be a singer?
Well, I was inspired by Hank Williams, Hank Jr., and Porter Wagner, those old-timey singers that are gone now, except for Hank Jr. I was inspired by them mostly.
We talked about how radio's changed a little bit, and talking about music. How's music changed over the last 50 years?
Music has changed. Country's not country, and rock is not rock. It's just a big racket, really, to me. They should just call it American music, not call it country, not call it rock. Just call it American music and get it over with.
Yeah. How do you think over the last 50 years the quality of the music and the songwriting has changed?
Oh, the quality's changed for the better. It's brighter, it sounds better, the digital sounds better. The writers are brilliant. Some of the artists are brilliant, but I don't like their delivery of a rock-style country. Country back when I was growing up was country. Nowadays it's a racket.
How's the lyrics and the message of a song changed, say, from the 60s to now, the 2000s?
Well, back in the 60s, it was story type on country music. Every song told a story. Nowadays, it's just a bunch of music like rap and high drum beats and guitars, and the singer just trying to rhythm with everything going on. And it's not a storytelling type music.
Radio here over the decades. Tell us maybe some groups that have come through Sweetwater, or maybe stopped by the station that people might recognize the name.
Well, we've had Marvell here. We've had people from Thunderhead Records used to come by for interviews on Saturdays. We've had the Whipper Brothers come by back in the 60s. They done a show here in December of 66 at Sweetwater High School. Johnny Cash came one time. 10 people showed up and he wouldn't come out. He just refused to show. And then we had Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs. They came to town. And 25 people showed up. They put on a 45-minute show for them, told them that they wouldn't do a full show for that small crowd. So they done a small show and went on.
Tell us how this station itself has changed over the years, formats, management, different things that you've seen in your 50 years.
Well, over the 50 years, the building has changed somewhat, the transmitters have changed somewhat, but the work is about the same. The format late at night was easy listening. Afternoon was rock, countries played in the morning. And as block programming, we had some preachers, but not many through the week. And then Sundays was always preaching day. Saturdays was always country day from 1 o'clock till sign off. The formats here has been country, rock, gospel, easy listening, all types of music's been played here.
Now, we were talking the other day, in 1968 when you started here, what was the show that you did?
The Sundown Show. Well, on Passport to Pleasure at night.
Yeah, Passport to Pleasure.
Passport to Pleasure.
Did you name that show?
No, it was already called that. And on the AM, it was the Sundown Show from 6 till sign off.
You mentioned earlier some funny moments that had to do with sports. What's some funny moments that went on here inside the studio that maybe you can?
I'd rather not talk about that.
Pleading the fifth on that.
Yeah.
You wanted to be a musician, but you've been in radio now 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about radio that you've stayed in it for 50 years?
Security is a job, and I like it.
What is it about radio that you like?
It's just being here and doing the job I've always done. I just enjoy it.
What's been your favorite part about the last 50 years? If you could sum it up, 50 years into a couple of words, what would it be?
Well, my favorite part was the Sundays. I worked with the preachers, and the morning shift, I liked it pretty well, working the morning shift. Afternoons, you get to meet some of the people coming through. I've enjoyed every shift I've worked.
Most people you talk to that's been in radio, they say it gets in your blood and you can't get it out. Would you say that's true?
That's about true. The only thing I know, I won't be here another 50.
If you have any questions or comments for Fargo, you can leave them in a message below on this video.